Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching the Echo episode number 16 on Channel 4. My name is Qmars Kiani, and I'm your host tonight. We have a great show. We have a wonderful show. It's about mass mind control through network television. And as you know, one of the techniques that globalists are using is through film and media. And that is controlling our minds. Here is the first clip actually talking about that phenomena by Michael Tsarian. If that clip is ready, please roll that for us, Sam. Thank you.
When you hear these talismanic words like control, security, stronger America, strength, realize that they're talismanic words. They're being used against you. They're seduction words to try and get you to accept this because you don't have that. Well, you've been raped of that. The people who are selling you one story here have actually taken away the very things that you needed that were in your psyche to begin with.
I am continuing and I am increasing the search for every possible path to peace.
We maintain our strength in order to deter and defend against aggression, to preserve freedom and peace.
No one, friend or foe, should doubt our desire for peace.
The United States wants peace.
We seek peace. We strive for peace.
I pledged in my campaign for the presidency to end the war in a way that we could win the peace.
I respect your idealism. I share your concern for peace. I want peace as much as you do.
We cannot wait for the final proof, the smoking gun that could come in the form of a mushroom cloud. Saddam Hussein recently sought significant quantities of uranium from Africa.
There is no doubt that Saddam Hussein now has weapons of mass destruction.
Weapons of mass destruction.
Botulinum, VX, sarin, nerve agent.
Iraq and Al-Qaeda. Iraq and Al-Qaeda.
Terrorism, cyber attacks,
Nuclear program.
biological weapons,
Cruise missiles, ballistic missiles.
Chemical and biological weapons.
Iraq has weapons of mass destruction.
President Bush has said Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. Tony Blair has said Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. Donald Rumsfeld has said Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. Richard Butler has said they do. The United Nations has said they do. The experts have said they do. Iraq says they don't. You can choose who you want to believe.
The sources that have deceived us so constantly don't deserve our trust. And to the extent that we give them our trust, we set ourselves up to be scammed again and again.
There are reports that there is no evidence of a direct link between Baghdad and some of these terrorist organizations.
There are known knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns. The ones we don't know, we don't know.
I will build new partnerships to defeat the threats of the 21st century. Terrorism and nuclear proliferation, poverty and genocide, climate change and disease. And I will restore our moral standing so that America is once again that last best hope for all who are called to the cause of freedom, who long for lives of peace, and who yearn for a better future.
And this is used endlessly in the media by the drip feed method of just constantly downloading the same idiotic memes that you consciously would think you resist. But if they're repeated for the 10, 20 years and you've been growing up, before you know it, you're a parrot of all of that. You don't even realize it was implanted. That's the whole point. You're not meant to realize that your thinking is not your own. That's the smokescreen I was talking about. You're not meant to know that you're under hypnotism. You're meant to think you're perfectly normal. So they're going to sell you the most irrational, most satanic, most vile, pornographic lies, but they're going to sell it in a capsule that makes you think that you're perfectly spiritual, perfectly adjusted, totally normal. As this continues, as this process continues, the division between the outsider who's really sane and the unsane gets wider and wider and wider. What are people complaining about? That they can't believe the world they're walking around in. Sane people are going, I can't handle it, I can't work, it's terrible, the people are idiots. Yeah, but that didn't happen last year, that didn't happen 2 months from, that didn't happen, 2 months ago. You are seeing the symptom, not the cause. You're seeing the symptom of an immensely long, phenomenally detailed and interesting and complex. What was Soviet Russia? You can sum up the whole gig of communist Russia in one sentence. Experiment. Social experimentation. Then you can split hairs as to whether it was a Darwinian experimentation or an Orwellian blah, blah, blah. It's an experiment in how to control human beings who very easily were controlled. Oh my goodness, 33 people are shot dead. Everybody is just tripping over themselves with awe and amazement and anger and frustration. Let me see, what else is going on in the world right now? What else has been going on since 2001? Let me see, what's happening in Iraq or Iran right now? Can we ask a question about that? What was going on during the previous George Bush? Was there a thing called Desert Storm in which millions of people were killed, children were wiped out, incinerated? In Panama were people not burned to death with lasers and incinerated in their own cars, completely innocent people? Then we have Grenada before that. Grenada. There you have, where do we stop? How many wars do we need? But your children die. Of course it's horrible. But can we have some context here? Can we have some sanity here? That just because your little pathetic, mediocre lifestyle has now been shaken up by something you don't understand, that's the only violence you think it exists in this world? Somebody has to be wielding, a 38 on your own street, in your own backyard, before you realize that there's such a thing as violence in the world? I'm here to tell you that all of that kind of violence, including the genocide, including the mega death, chew on this, that all of that, all through history, is a tiny aspect of the violence that exists in the world. That's the stuff you can see with your 5 senses. But as any competent psychologist will tell you, that is a very small, sadly, that is a symptom. That's what that is. That's an outpouring and outletting, a playing out in the world. Obviously helped and assisted by those who would like to have chaos rule in the world, yes. But where is its roots? You're going to keep studying the, leaf? You're going to keep studying the bloom and not ask where the root is? Or we'll have a wonderful society tomorrow where they'll be able to prune that really easily. And we won't have any of that violence because in fact we'll have a new world order. The chaos out of control. Everything's in chaos. People killing themselves. And we have a perfect structure now that will always deal with that. But will the root be ever looked at? If the root is not looked at, I don't care what kind of order or system is involved in the world of man that, prunes that or, keeps that nicely culled or caged or whatever.
Back. You're watching The Echo on Channel 4. My name is Q Marskiani. I am your host tonight. And tonight's show is about mass mind control through media, especially TV and cinema. That clip that you just saw was a great informative clip about mass mind control, and the person who was talking is Michael Tsarian. Michael Tsarian is one of the greatest scholars and researchers and independent thinker I ever come across. He's a fantastic socio-psychologist at the same time. And I know he's a Nietzschean. He follows Friedrich Nietzsche. But overall, you should check out his stuff. I can't remember his
Architects
website.
of Control.
Well,
that
yes.
video that we were watching a segment of.
Yes.
But yeah, he's got some. He woke me up to a lot of this predictive programming, behavioral placement. There's a movie called The Looker by Michael Crichton, and in that movie they measured what people's retinas were doing while they were watching a commercial or something, and scanning every place that it went. So they've been studying, audio, video, perception, and distribution to people for years. I mean, when we brought the Nazi scientists over, they were getting into the closed circuit television and the propaganda machine. So they really, they could see the potential of, television production and how it could shape the mob mind.
Yeah. And I shouldn't say this because I studied film and media, but as you know, readers are always the leaders, or leaders are the readers. And if you go back 6,000 years ago, 7,000 years ago, even before that, because Sumer is no longer the first civilization that introduced writing and reading to humankind. We just came across another civilization that has been discovered by archaeologists totally by accident in south of Iran, and that ended up the Sumerian basically civilization being the only and the first civilization. And I'm pretty much sure before that also, before this new civilization, there was another. But overall, you go back, and the leaders of the society who were controlling the particular society always could read and write, such as kings of the royal family and the priesthood families. And on the contrary to that, masses could not read or write. And that's why they were entertained by seeing and hearing things. Maybe that's